If you want to destroy your brain faster than anybody in your family tree, just keep doing this one thing every single day, because it's the fastest way to accelerate Alzheimer's, dementia, and cognitive decline. And the worst part, most people think it's healthy. And that number one thing that's destroying your brain is having high levels of blood sugar and high levels of insulin. We think of Alzheimer's as a brain disease, but it's now being called type 3 diabetes, which is a metabolic condition of the brain. And I just released a brand new book that came out this week called Metabolic Freedom, and I take a deep dive into these brain disorders and the issue with having high levels of blood sugar and insulin, and we're going to cover it today on this lesson. Unfortunately, 93% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. That is what the studies show. That means out of the 100 people walking around your neighborhood right now, 93 out of the 100 people are metabolically unhealthy. They're increasing their risk, their chance of these brain disorders, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's. And the number one reason is because their blood sugar levels are elevated. So what is raising the blood sugar levels? What's raising insulin, leading to these brain disorders? Well, number one, the snacking and the grazing. We've been taught that snacking and grazing, eating every 2 to 3 hours, is going to rev up your metabolism and give you energy so you can perform at a high level. But I got to tell you, when you eat every 2 to 3 hours, it's raising and spiking your blood sugar levels, spiking insulin levels, leading to not just weight gain, but it's destroying your brain. We're not designed to graze, to eat. And I put a study in Metabolic Freedom that showed the average American is consuming food, eating food, 17 to 23 times per day. Okay, you're thinking, Ben, that's a made-up stat. Where'd you get that from? Well, that was from Don Clum's patient population study, and it showed that the average person is doing that. Now, think about it. It's not that they're sitting at a table eating 17 to 23 meals a day. It's the snacking and the grazing throughout the day. Even if it's a healthy snack, like, I don't know, carrots and hummus or almonds, whatever you think is healthy, or for sure, an unhealthy snack, every time you eat, you raise glucose and insulin. It's a meal to the body. You get a blood sugar spike, and over years and decades, those receptor sites for glucose in the brain and insulin in the brain become blunted, leading to a starved brain, leading to all of these brain disorders, which are on the rise. I detail them in Metabolic Freedom. And it's not just that we're snacking and grazing, we're also eating refined, processed foods, ultra processed junk food. I'm going to outline some of the worst ones out there that really destroy your brain and the mitochondria in your brain. But just remember this, a whole food doesn't require an ingredient list. If you buy a potato, there's no ingredient list because you see what's in front of you. But when you buy potato chips, there are like 20 to 30 ingredients, artificial ingredients, inflammatory ingredients. These are frankenfoods. Big difference. Avocado, no ingredient. Egg, no ingredient. So a good rule of thumb is buy single ingredient foods, meaning the avocado is the ingredient, the egg is the ingredient, the produce is the ingredient. Stay away from boxed, packaged foods because they're typically loaded with some of the items I'm going to share here that destroy your brain. Now that we understand why it's dangerous to have high levels of blood sugar, high levels of insulin, let's identify the specific foods that dramatically increase your risk of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and other brain disorders, including some subtle signs like brain fog. By the way, brain fog is not normal. And it's one of the first signs and symptoms your body will show you that eventually, if it continues, will lead to cognitive decline. So pay attention here. So the first food is going to be HFCS, high fructose corn syrup. And most people think, yeah, I don't consume high fructose corn syrup. I know it's bad for me. But here's the thing. High fructose corn syrup is hidden in a lot of healthy foods, or what is being portrayed as being healthy according to the label. Many fruit juices contain it. Condiments like ketchup, barbecue sauce contain high fructose corn syrup. Many salad dressings and sports drinks, flavored yogurts, and even healthy protein bars. So you gotta look at the ingredient list because here's why high fructose corn syrup is going to lead to damaged brain cells. High fructose corn syrup drives up uric acid. Uric acid, when it's elevated, damages your mitochondria, these little energy factories within all of your cells, but they're mostly found in your brain cells. Damaged mitochondria within your brain cells means less energy is being produced, more oxidative stress. Think about the rusting of your cells in your brain, and essentially faster brain aging. Numerous studies that I put in my brand new book, Metabolic Freedom, link high fructose corn syrup intake to memory impairment, reduced brain volume, and increased amyloid plaque buildup seen in Alzheimer's patients. In chapter 4 of Metabolic Freedom, I explain how fructose is metabolized differently than glucose. It bypasses normal energy pathways and it creates metabolic chaos. Not only does it inflame your brain, high fructose corn syrup, it overwhelms your liver, and it sets the stage for weight gain, weight loss resistance, and cognitive decline. So it's important for you to read the ingredients list. Make sure it does not contain any ingredients that reference fructose, isoglucose, anything with high fructose corn syrup, do not consume. The second reason why your brain's on fire is because of chronic cell membrane inflammation. When your cells and cell membranes, especially in the brain, are inflamed, this is called neuroinflammation. I had a lot of this when I was obese and depressed and ready to give up on myself. You see, when there's inflammation around those cell membranes in the brain, nutrients cannot get into the brain. Oxygen, hormones cannot get into the brain. Neurotransmitters cannot get into the brain. So you're essentially starving the brain, but the inflammation blocks it. And the symptoms that start out before it's a full-on diagnosis with a serious brain disorder are the following symptoms. Pay attention, because your body's always giving you clues and it's speaking to you. And if you don't pay attention, it'll lead to a disastrous diagnosis. So here are the symptoms that your brain is starting to decline. Brain fog. That's not normal. Sure, if you had a heavy travel day and you crossed time zones and you had a little bit of brain fog and it went away for the rest of the week, not an issue. But if you're experiencing consistent brain fog, what is that person's name again? Why did I walk into this kitchen? What was I going to get? Where did I leave my keys? If that's happening all the time, that's not normal, and it's your body's way of showing you that your brain is in decline. Memory lapses are another one, where you thought about something, I need to go get this done, and then you get sidetracked, and then you completely forgot about what you were supposed to get done. That's a memory lapse. That's not normal. Fatigue, especially cognitive fatigue, where you could only focus on something for so long until you feel burnt out. That's a sign of neurodegeneration, brain decline. This is a path millions of people are on. They're experiencing these symptoms and they have no idea that if they don't make changes, it will lead to some serious issues. The next thing we want to avoid is alcohol. I know, don't shoot the messenger, but alcohol is a poison to your body. It's a poison to your brain. Every sip of alcohol will kill brain cells. It'll lead to cognitive decline. Sure, if you're having alcohol once a month and you're not overdoing it, probably not a big deal. But if your stress bucket is already high and you're still having alcohol even once a month, it could be an issue. But when you think about alcohol, your body has to prioritize removing that alcohol before it burns fat, before it detoxifies, and it kills your brain cells. It is a toxin to the body. So personally, I have not had any alcohol in over almost 10 years. And I don't think it's healthy for you. Now, if you choose to have alcohol, you want to avoid the beer and the wine. Those are the worst offenders. And if you're going to have alcohol, stick with the clear alcohols, the whiskey, the tequila, the vodka. But I do recommend no alcohol altogether. This leads us to the third thing that's destroying your brain health. You ready for it? Rancid fats, processed fats. They're also called seed oils and vegetable oils. They are mitochondrial poison. And remember that most mitochondria is found in the brain. And there's a process in chapter 4 that I talk about in Metabolic Freedom called lipid membrane reorganization. Here's what it states. As soon as you consume these bad fats, which are found in 80% of our entire food supply in the United States, within hours, they embed into your cell membranes. Yes, your brain cells membranes. And not only that, they stay there for years. The half-life of these bad fats, 680 days. Meaning if you stopped eating them today, and I'll give you a whole list in a minute, 2 years later, half of them will still be in your brain cells creating inflammation. They're everywhere. And unfortunately, the biggest fake news propaganda organization, the American Heart Association, puts their stamp of approval on them as being heart healthy. They're the complete opposite of heart healthy, and they're destroying your brain cells at the mitochondrial level. So here's a list of the ones you want to do an audit and avoid as much as possible. We have canola oil, called rapeseed oil in the UK, corn oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, and soybean oil. And then we have rice bran oil and grapeseed oil. I'd throw one more into the mix, which is going to shock you, and that's fish oil. And you have to read the book Metabolic Freedom to learn why I don't like fish oil. It's destroying your brain. Instead, swap out those fats with stable anti-inflammatory fats for the brain. This is going to be saturated fats and monounsaturated fats. So I'll give you the list. Butter, ghee, coconut oil, duck fat, beef tallow, great fats to cook your foods in. Then we have avocado oil and olive oil, great oils for salad dressings and dips. Now, olive oil specifically, if you really want to repair those brain cells, olive oil contains a powerful compound, a polyphenol called oleocanthols, which actually activates autophagy within your brain cells. What does that mean? Autophagy is this cellular process that I outlined in Chapter 8 of Metabolic Freedom that cleans out damaged cells, including damaged brain cells. It's like Pac-Man going within your body, cleaning out the junk. Well, high-quality olive oil activates autophagy in the brain. So consume 1 to 2 tablespoons of high quality olive oil every single day to get that benefit. Stop the grazing, stop the high fructose corn syrup and seed oils, prioritize protein and fat, lower carbohydrates, and go get a fasting insulin blood test. That'll show you how high you've been spiking your blood sugars, and I make the case for it in the book. A fasting insulin is one of the most important blood tests that I want all of you to go get done immediately, and you want to see your fasting insulin between 2 and 5. That means you're managing your blood sugar levels pretty well and you're insulin sensitive. You'll burn fat, reduce your risk of brain disorders when you get your fasting insulin between 2 and 5. And if you want a high quality olive oil, because they're not all created equal, go to ketocampoliveoil.com to get a $39 bottle for just $1. I want to get to your questions here. Before I do, I want to encourage you to go get the book, Metabolic Freedom. It just released this week. There's a 30-day plan at the end of this book. There's a beginner plan, an advanced plan. Follow that, and you're going to lose a ton of weight, lower inflammation, have more energy, and just feel like yourself again. I had a gentleman, John Miller, follow this plan, and he lost 44 pounds in these 30 days. So the book is available worldwide, hardcover, Kindle, Audible, and Spotify, narrated myself. And if you want a free course on the metabolism with exclusive interviews, scan the QR code on the screen or go to metabolicfreedombook.com or click the link in the description of the YouTube and the podcast down below. Let's get to your questions. Is all fructose bad or just high fructose corn syrup? Well, fructose in excess is bad. But when I'm referring to high fructose corn syrup, this is the processed version of fructose that's typically found in processed foods. So for sure, avoid that. Now, you're going to find fructose in honey and fruit. And as long as you're not overdoing it, you're going to be fine. You don't want to juice those fruits. Fruit juices and smoothies are not a good idea because it's a concentrated dose of fructose. But if you're having, I don't know, an apple every once in a while or some blueberries, not a big deal. But the high fructose corn syrup, that's a big issue. Can you reverse insulin resistance in the brain once it starts? The goal is to find out what your fasting insulin levels are. Anything over 10 is considered insulin resistance. And that means your brain is essentially being starved of glucose as well. Ketones are a powerful alternative to glucose once that brain starts to decline. So in Metabolic Freedom, I teach you how to get into ketosis safely. To answer your question, yes, you could start reversing this cognitive decline when you do the right things. And hopefully the book will show you how to do that. Can I still eat carbs if I want to protect my brain? You can. And look, the more muscle mass you have on your body, the more carbs you can have and get away with those carbs, and you'll metabolize them really well. So work on building lean muscle mass, increasing your protein. But I will say this, on the days you're increasing your carbs, it should be a lower fat day. You don't want to combine high carbs and high fat. So on the days you increase your carbohydrates from healthy carbohydrates, lower your fat, and yeah, you could hit your protein requirements and get enough protein, but it should be a low fat day. If you are over 20 pounds of overweight, you know you have insulin resistance and metabolic challenges, I would recommend taking your carbs under 50 total grams of carbs per day until you start to get your fasting insulin levels under 5, and then you could reintroduce some healthy carbs. And I mapped this all out for you in the brand new book, Metabolic Freedom, so go get that book. What role does sleep or stress play in Alzheimer's risk? We know cortisol, or I should say stress, chronic levels of stress, is the silent killer. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Glucose follows cortisol, and then insulin follows the glucose. So it plays a big role. If you're not sleeping, you're not detoxifying, you're not repairing the brain. And there's a really important process that occurs during deep sleep. And I talk about this in chapter 6 of Metabolic Freedom, all about sleep, where your brain literally shrinks in size during deep sleep. And there's this fluid, this is crazy, there's this fluid, it's called your cerebral spinal fluid that flushes over the brain as the brain's shrinking in size. And the reason why the brain is doing this is because it's making the toxins and accumulated plaques and proteins more available for that fluid to flush over and detoxify. But if you're not getting quality sleep, this is not happening for you, and it's actually accelerating your cognitive decline. Combine that poor sleep with blood sugar spikes, it's no wonder why Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's is on the rise. So eat healthy fats and protein, eliminate the snacking, get rid of seed oils, high fructose corn syrup, get quality sleep, and you will be what Einstein called a genius. He said intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them. I hope this is valuable for you. Please go get the book Metabolic Freedom. It'll change your life. And if you already bought it, gift it to a friend and leave it a rating and review on Amazon as well. Share this episode with a friend. I love you. I appreciate you. Hey, and if you love this lesson, you're gonna love a previous lesson I just outlined or I just published on the best way to lose flabby skin naturally. It is my favorite skin tightening protocol. Check out the clip from that video and I'll see you in that next lesson.
Ever since, I've done a tremendous amount of research and I'm happy to present to you the solution to finally tightening up that skin so you look and feel great. This will be relevant to you whether you have loose skin from dramatic weight loss or if you just have loose skin in general and you're looking to tighten up that skin. This protocol will work for all of you.